What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel. Now, before we get started with today's video, as I have something in my eye, the road to 200 subs has now come to a close, and we are now 211 subs away from hitting 500 subs. And if you guys are new to the channel, and I know that a lot of you guys are, because practically 100% of you guys are watching the content, but you guys are not even subscribed. And to top it all off, we got to get more women to watch the content as well. So if you guys are watching the content, you like the content, and you want more of the content, but you guys have not subscribed as of yet, then make sure you guys do indeed subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, smash that thumbs up button on this video, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all of my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And I want you guys to post in the comments below answering the question of the day, which basically is today's video. But the question of the day is this. Among the card as it sits now, what are your guys' predictions for NXT Vengeance Day this Saturday? Excuse me. Let me know down in the let me know down in the comments below. And for today's video, it is all about predictions for Vengeance Day, which for NXT kicks off the road to Stand and Deliver. And it's weird because you look at Vengeance Day from the last few years. I mean, just the amount of energy that the fans bring to a PLE like Vengeance Day has just been, has been so incredible. And I think this Saturday is going to be no different. I mean, we have we have four title matches on the card, and two grudge matches. One of which is gonna have a stipulation, which is absolutely incredible. Which is absolutely incredible to see. So, I mean, I guess let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into it. Kicking these off, we have one of the matches that was announced last night on NXT as Nathan Frazer and Axiom, known as Fraxium, will be defending the NXT tag team titles against a brand new team, against the newly formed team of Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura. Arguably, this is, on paper, arguably speaking, this should be a mismatch, right? It's basically a battle of the Davids versus the Goliaths in the form of, obviously, this matchup. Obviously the Davids are obviously the tag team champions, where the Goliaths are obviously Inamura and, of course, Josh Briggs. It's weird because the last teammate that Briggs had, it didn't work out so well, right? Obviously, we knew that Brooks Jensen, had a much more interesting mindset when it came to NXT rather than Josh Briggs. I think the big difference between the two, between Briggs and Jensen, I think is more so the fact that Briggs wanted this. He wanted to be a part of the wrestling world, where as opposed to Brooks Jensen, he was basically technically was forced into the business because of the fact that his father was none other than former WWE Tag Team Champion Bull Buchanan. If you guys do not know about Bull Buchanan, he was the guy that debuted in WWE, I think back in 2000. I need to check. Bull Buchanan, here we are. So he made his WWE debut in around around the time of 1997. He was actually a part of a faction called the Truth Commission, which the Truth Commission consisted of the Commandment, Kurgan, the Interrogator, Recon, Sniper, Tank, and the Jackal, which was just a bunch of guys from which was just a bunch of guys that had competed both in both WWE and of course the USWA, the United States Wrestling Association, and then of course ended up teaming with Big Boss Man. That team lasted a minute, and then ended up being a part of the faction known as the Right to Censor, which consisted of him, Steven Richards, Ivory, Val Venus, and the Godfather. Actually, funny enough, the Godfather ended up changing his name from that to the Good Father, which is very weird. So Buchanan had had a very interesting time in WWE. Obviously, being a former tag team champion alongside Godfather. But other than that, I mean his time in professional wrestling altogether is just absolutely just sparkling. Multiple tag team titles, multiple world titles, mid card titles, and everything else in between. So Jensen was basically forced into the business, and that's where his mindset came into play. Briggs, on the other hand, again, I talked about it before. He wanted to be in the business. He wanted to be a main event star in WWE, and he got his start as essentially as part of the promotion known as Evolve, where he was a part of the Evolve 10th anniversary show that featured him and Anthony Green back in 2019. And even by then, Briggs was probably one of the biggest stars in that promotion. So when he went over to Japan to compete for Pro Wrestling Noah for a while, one of his matchups was obviously against Yoshiki Inamura, and Inamura impressed Briggs that they ended up forming a tag team. Obviously, we saw last night on NXT that they had an impressive victory over both Hank and Tank and the No Quarter Catch Crew. This basically impressed the champions, and they were like, you know what? You guys want the shot? You got it. We'll see you guys Saturday at Vengeance Day. And now the question becomes this, right? The question becomes this. Can Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura keep that mindset, keep that tag team continuity, if you will, long enough for them to become tag team champions? And I think, and honestly, I believe yes. I think at this point now, both tag team champions are 100%. They are so ready to be a part of the main roster. I think in my opinion, I think they're ready to go to get called up. It's like there's no way that they wouldn't. Um, I think if there was a brand that I would love to see the tag team champions go to full time, 100%, it's definitely Raw. I think with the amount of tag teams that are on the Raw roster, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, you've got the War Raiders, you've got the Judgment Day, you've got who else you got? You got who else? You have quite a few tag teams on Raw, and I think honestly that could really help out. I think Fraxium on Raw could really help re-elevate the tag team division to heights never thought possible. So it comes down to this: who wants him more, Briggs and Inamura, or Fraxium? Crazy as it sounds, I feel like it's Briggs and Inamura. I think I think the longer they stay together, the better it's going to be for them. And I think this will be a perfect start for them as a tag team. And I think even if the tag team champions do lose, which could happen, I have no doubt in my mind that at some point between now and after WrestleMania, we're bound to see Fraxium get called up to the main roster, whether it's Raw or SmackDown. They're gonna do big things. But crazy as it sounds, my money is obviously on Briggs and Inamura, because you've got two babyface tag teams wanting to be the best, and it comes down to who the fans in DC will cheer for. Will they cheer for the challengers or the champions? Funny enough, we've seen in the past, the fans would cheer for the challengers. So I think it's safe to say that we may end up crowning new tag team champions. Next up, we have the strap match between Trick Williams and Eddie Thorpe. This rivalry has escalated to where Eddie Thorpe, has done nothing but bitch and complain that Trick Williams kept stealing Eddie's opportunity of becoming NXT champion, while at the same time Trick Williams, he's humble. He is a humble man who he is pissed that he lost his NXT title, but when you really think about it, he accepted that. He accepted the reality that that he was gonna end up that he was going to at some point lose his NXT title, which he did last month at New Year's Evil. And already Obafemi is already a little over 30 days, is already a little over a month as champion. So that says a lot. And as far as this match goes, this has gone way beyond professionalism. This has been a very personal rivalry that dates back to when it dates all the way back to December when Eddie Thorpe was originally supposed to have competed in the men's Iron Survivor, but he was just like, you know what, fuck this. I'm not gonna compete in the men's Iron Survivor. Why would I waste my time facing 4 other guys when I could just fight one guy? So he basically literally tricked Ava into giving him a shot at the NXT title, which he did, which I admit was very interesting, to say the very least, I will say. but and even by then, even in Lowell, Massachusetts, Eddie Thorpe still lost. He still lost. and he still bitches about the fact that he's not getting opportunities. Well, now he has one. He has an opportunity to put himself back in the conversation of becoming NXT champion. But this is a much more vicious version of Trick Williams that we have ever seen. We have never seen Trick Williams become this determined ever since he got to WWE. So the way I see it, a determined and confident Trick Williams is a dangerous Trick Williams. So Eddie Thorpe is going to have a very interesting time on his hands. But if Eddie wins, then that puts him in line to go back into the NXT title picture, which could end up leading to a big matchup this coming April at Stand and Deliver in Vegas, which is very possible, but we really don't know for sure. It's at this point now, it's hard to say. We're still less than 3 months away from WrestleMania week, and it's gonna be very crazy. So, as far excuse me, as far as this matchup goes, I mean, I gotta go with Trick Williams on this one. I think with how determined he's been, with how confident he's been since losing the NXT title, I think that's what's gonna give him the advantage, and that could potentially give him, put him back in the title picture against Obafemi. But will it be Obafemi, or will it be A-Town Down Under? We'll have to wait and see. I will be talking about that match a little later on in this video, so be sure to get ready for that. But yeah, speaking of grudge matches, here is another one. Ethan Page versus Javon Evans. This one goes all the way back to November. I think in Lowell, was it in Lowell, Massachusetts? Yeah, I think it was in Lowell, Massachusetts, back in November. I want to see really quickly. I believe it was Lowell, Massachusetts. Let's see. I believe it was in Lowell, Massachusetts in November. Was it in November? No, it was indeed in December. It was back in December. It was December 17th. Was it December 17th, or was it the 24th? I think it was the 24th that we saw Ethan Page attack Javon Evans, breaking his jaw, literally snapping his jaw completely off the bone. And for weeks and weeks, Javon Evans had to have reconstructive jaw surgery. And Ethan Page, when Javon came back, Ethan Page targeted that jaw and started to bleed again. We saw Ethan Page do a stunt like that on several guys, including Javon, including Dante Chen, and including the recently released Cedric Alexander. Obviously, yes, this did piss off Javon Evans, and he wanted a match with Ethan Page. But Ava was like, okay, fine, you want the match, you can have it, but only if you get cleared. And as we saw last night, Javon's doctor was like, yeah, he's fine. we were able to expedite the healing process, and he's good to go. But if it breaks again, he could end up retiring completely. As in he will never be able to wrestle again. So Ava was like, "You can't go through with this," and Javon was like, "I have to." Boom! Contract in hand. Told Javon that he needed to sign what's known as a letter of indemnification, or I guess a hold harmless agreement, which I actually want to look that up. Here we are. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see here. It is so basically what it is in me it's no so basically what the whole harmless agreement means is that if Javon Evans gets hurt and his jaw breaks again and he ends up retiring, Javon Evans cannot hold WWE or Ethan Page, nor can he sue WWE or Ethan Page for what happens to him at Vengeance Day. And Javon Evans said, I don't care. That's fine. Literally signs the contract, and now we have this match. This is a lose-lose situation for Javon Evans, because it doesn't matter whether he wins the match or whether he loses. Either way, one wrong move to that jaw, and it's over. He's not going to be able to wrestle. Excuse me. And the doctors even said last night on NXT that he could end up being medically disqualified permanently. So we're talking permanent damage to that jaw, and I think Ethan Page has taken things a bit too far, and I think with this match it's not going to be pretty. So as much as I would love to see Javon Evans win, I think Ethan Page has this one. I think because of the fact that this is a much more different side of Ethan Page that we have been accustomed to over the course of the last year, because ever since he lost the NXT title in Chicago on the CW premiere of NXT, Ethan Page has just been a completely different person. He lost the NXT title. He lost his rematch for the NXT title. He lost to Tony D'Angelo to become to try to become NXT North American champion. He even lost the men's Iron Survivor, which I believe, yeah, literally he lost the men's Iron Survivor, even though he scored 2 victories overall. He literally squandered all of his opportunities ever since losing in that night in Chicago. So because that he pulled that stunt on Javon Evans, I think it's safe to say that Ethan Page is going to be using that to his advantage, and it ain't going to be pretty. So my money is on Ethan Page. Now we move into the final 3 matches on the card. The first one for the NXT Women's title, originally a triple threat, now a fatal 4-way between the champion Julia and the challengers Bayley, Roxanne Perez, and Cora Jade. Obviously, Obviously, Ava, yes, initially insisted to do a triple threat, but after her victory over Bailey last night, Cora Jade has now been added to the match, making it a fatal 4-way. So now the question becomes this. Now the question becomes this, because we know that all 4 women have a 25% chance of winning. But the question becomes, can Roxanne Perez maintain her composure going into this match? And the answer is no. And the reason is Cora Jade. Because of what Cora did to Julia and to Bailey 2 weeks ago, what was it, last week on NXT? It's safe to say that Cora Jade wanted to also put her hands on on Roxanne Perez, but Roxanne backed out of the way. And when you think about it, this whole thing kind of started when Julia first arrived in NXT last year. In fact, I believe it was at No Mercy. Yeah, I believe it was at No Mercy. Yeah, literally, yeah, literally, it was back in October, back in September. Yeah, back in can't speak. Back in September at No Mercy, we saw Julia finally debut in NXT. After Roxanne Perez defeated Jada Parker to retain the NXT Women's title. That led to them having an incredible rivalry, which led to Perez's victory over Julia. Literally all thanks in part to Cora Jade, and then of course having some other matches over time, including the tag match at Halloween Havoc, and then of course New Year's Evil, Julia finally being able to become NXT Women's Champion. Now again, the question becomes this: who has the advantage? My opinion, the answer, Bailey. The reason is because she's been a part of these different types of situations when she was champion. Whenever she was champion and defended her title in a fatal 4-way, she always overcame all the odds and found a way to retain her title. This fatal 4-way is going to be unlike anything we had ever seen before, because you have the current NXT Women's Champion, who is an international sensation, an icon if you will, in Japan. You have a woman who helped shape NXT to what it is today, and then you've got 2 of the four pillars of the new NXT alongside, I think, Fallon Henley and I think it's alongside Fallon Henley and Kalani Jordan, I want to say. Either her or Jada Parker, is one or the other. But yeah, you've got four very hungry women who want to be the best, but the only way to do that is to win the fatal 4-way. But this is this will be Julia's first title defense since winning the title at New Year's Evil. Can she win it? Absolutely. Is she going to? Most likely, because of the fact that she wants to be able to defend the NXT Women's title at Stand and Deliver in Vegas. So My money's on Julia. I think she definitely has what it takes to win it. Next up, the NXT Women's North American title between Fallon Henley and Stephanie Vaquer. And here's what I find very interesting, right? I find it interesting that Fallon Henley claims, says that she wants to be a fighting champion, considering the fact that a lot of the matches that she had been a part of since forming Fatal Influence, she has had Jasmine Neggs and JC Jane of the group bail her out. In fact, they were the ones that insisted on the handicap match at Halloween Havoc against Kalani Jordan. And I think this makes her the longest reigning women's North American champion of all time. I actually want to see about that. Let's go to here. WWE.com Superstar roster page. Excuse me. Let's see. Let's take a look. Here we are. Let's see. Scroll down to the titles. Here we are, Women's North American title. So, I believe right now, Fallon. So okay. So right now, Kalani Jordan, as of right now, is sitting at 140 days as champion. Fallon Henley right now is sitting at 107 days as champion and still counting. So if Fallon Henley can manage to get past Stephanie Vaquer this Saturday, then she'll have somewhat of a clear path to making history of becoming the longest reigning champion in its history since its inception last year at Battleground. But Stephanie Vaquer, she's exactly like Julia, a world-renowned sensation, a woman who has won championships everywhere she's been, and has become a dominant force to be reckoned with. The question becomes this: what role will the rest of Fatal Influence play in as the match progresses over time this Saturday? Honestly, I think if Stephanie Vaquer can manage to pull off the exact same thing that AJ Styles did when challenging Jinder Mahal for the WWE title back in 2017, then yes, Stephanie Vaquer has that chance, but it's a very small chance. But I think we may end up seeing a new champion. I think Stephanie Vaquer has become more hungry than ever before. She's had opportunities at the NXT Women's title. She's had opportunities at other championships, in NXT. But the Women's North American title will be a big start for her, and I think Saturday might just end up being her night. So my money on Stephanie Vaquer. Now we move into what could potentially be one of the biggest main events in NXT history. Obafemi, A-Town Down Under, triple threat for the NXT title. Here's the interesting thing. If a tag team is challenging for a singles title and it's the main event, what do you do? Answer? The answer The only answer is that it's every man for himself, and we know that it's been well established that Waller has had opportunities at the NXT title in the past, but Austin Theory never did. So this is Austin's first shot at the title, but it's under triple threat rules. And I feel like on paper this seems like a mismatch, but as we saw last night, we saw Obafemi use both their egos and pins them against one another. So it comes down to this: can Obafemi, overcome the odds of two guys who are former tag team champions together, where when one of those guys is a former U.S. champion? And the answer is yes. He can definitely maintain his composure. He can pretty much overcome anything. I mean, he overcame the odds in the men's Iron Survivor when Eddie Thorpe decided to back out of it. But other than that, I mean, I think A-Town Down Under, there's no way that they're gonna remain a tag team after this Saturday. I think the egos are just gonna be way too high. Grayson Waller's ego, is with his ego is gonna get to the point where it's gonna be Waller that's gonna turn on Theory, and Theory is gonna end up turning babyface, which is very possible, which is something that the fans have been wanting to see it, but we don't really know if he's actually going to do it or not. But to be honest, my money is on Obafemi. There's no way that he can lose. I believe his second title defense. There's just like no way. So my money, Obafemi. But with that being said, that will do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more premium live event predictions and results in the future, then make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all of my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.